Welcome back to Skyline Stroll. Today we're going to be talking about building emotional and mental endurance, and also anti-fragility and getting out of your comfort zone, things like that. So let's have a fun little walk. It's going to be an evening walk today, and sadly, the clouds, I think, are going to keep us from having a cool sunset, but that's okay. Should still be a good walk. And let's get to it. All right, so some great starting points for today's topic are going to be starting small, pick one singular thing. And the way you're going to pick this thing is you're going to basically find a list of things outside of your comfort zone that your life regularly calls you to come in contact with, and then sort those uncomfortable things by a list of things that are both uncomfortable and good for you, and a list of things that is uncomfortable and perhaps not good for you. We're then going to take the list of things that are uncomfortable and good for you, and we're going to pick one thing off this list to start. We'll keep this list and come back to it later. But the thing we pick, we're then going to start, oh boy, an exposure routine. Hooray, exposure. So think about at points where this thing would come up in your life and make yourself do it. If it's social outings, go to some kind of get-together once a week, once every other week. If it's a part of your job that you just are uncomfortable doing, instead of passing it off to the other guy at work, ask him if you can do it. Yeah, and with exposure, you're going to start that up, and then your next step is simple. You're going to switch gears and focus on catching negative thought patterns. Because once you start doing something out of your comfort zone, your mind's going to hit you with something like, this is pointless, I can't succeed, you know you don't know how to do this is going to end horribly. Try to catch whatever versions of these thoughts you personally have in your mind, and just catch them. When they're happening, catch them and be like, oh, there it goes. There it goes, I caught it. I saw it go by. And so once you get used to catching them, you can then try to counter them with a less negative thought pattern. So for me personally, I find it very tricky to trust people I've known for a long, new people who have given me no reason to not trust them. I just find trusting people tricky. And it's because I get into these thought patterns of oh, well, what's their angle? Everyone's always got an angle. No, they don't. You're paranoid. Because you've had some bad experiences with people, that doesn't mean everyone's out to get you. That means you've ran into a couple of people that were out to get you. Happens. And so now whenever I catch myself thinking, oh, well, what's their angle? When are they just going to decide they're fed up with me? When am I going to stop being useful to this person? I kind of sit myself down later on and think, okay, man, let's sort it into two columns. Are they actually giving you valid reasons to not trust them? Or are you looking for one under each and every interaction when there's just no reason to not trust them? And you kind of look shady because you can't trust anyone. You're all closed off. So I'll sit myself down and do that. And now I'm better at actually discerning when somebody's sending me a red flag where it's like, oh, I shouldn't trust this person, versus just everyone's sending a red flag. I'm getting better at that. And it took these couple of steps. Just being more comfortable saying things to people I didn't want to, because I thought I'd either upset them or they would decide to immediately become my enemy or something because I said it. And that's kind of where that started. So with the exposure, another thing you're going to come up with and battle with once you start exposing yourself to the thing you pick is you're going to come to probably anxiety. You're going to have a bunch of some stress, some discomfort can lead to anxiety, and you may want to back out because of it. So I'm going to give you a list of things I've tried over the years that actually can help me relax and remove my anxiety. The first and absolutely most effective thing for me has its issue of you can't just always readily use it, and that's physical activity. Working out genuinely helps lower my anxiety levels, but when you're in the middle of an anxiety attack at work, it's not like you can push your desk to the side and start doing push-ups. So that one's not the best and not even an example I'm really going to use. I have 3 others. The first is by identifying those negative thought patterns we mentioned earlier, you can now create like a counterpoint in your head that when you catch one of these negative thought patterns going by, because usually these are what lead you to be anxious, you kind of create a counterpoint that now that you're in the habit of catching those negative thought patterns, you tell yourself when you're actually in the act of like practicing old habits. And so having a like counterbalance phrase that you hit yourself with will kind of help reduce the weight of your own emotions. That's one thing. Another big one is actually doing some like focused breathing. Lack of oxygen just raises anxiety to begin with if you're just not breathing well. I know I'm like allergic to animals, and y'all have seen the big guy running around. So I definitely struggle with this one where I'm just like, I have to remember to sit and breathe out my nose and actually inhale, exhale, and focus on that, especially if I catch my anxiety raising. And by like counting and breathing and putting focus in the thing I can control, which is my ability to breathe, I can sometimes distract myself and physically lower my anxiety at the same time. That's kind of why focused breathing is so good. It doesn't work for everyone because some people just really can't focus in and start working on that breathing when they're anxious. And for some people, it seems to just not help or even stress them out more. So that's one that's quite effective for me, and I'm going to recommend people try, but I know it's not a miracle cure, so good luck. My next one is, someone recommended this to me a couple years back, and I don't use it too often, but I have now and again, and it's taking your hand and taking your other hand, which I can't do because it's currently holding a phone, and squeezing each of your fingers, not real hard, but not quite gently either, for like 10 to 20 seconds each. And you can also like focus on breathing while you're at it to like double down on trying to physically lower your anxiety. But that's not guaranteed to work either, because to me this one is honestly the weirdest thing I'm recommending. I'm like, really? You're gonna squeeze our hands and our anxiety's gonna go away? How does that work? I couldn't tell you. It could even just be placebo for all I know. But in my experience, it's actually not a bad way to reduce your own anxiety a little. It's not going to make it go away, especially if you don't have a grasp on your thoughts. There's a reason my first of 3 things for lowering your own anxiety was trying to get a grasp on your own mind. Just getting in the habit of like reining in your own thoughts. That's going to be so instrumental in developing emotional endurance. And another thing is, make yourself wait, even when you don't need to. Just being in the habit of making yourself wait for something will teach you a little bit of discipline and a little bit of delayed gratification. Your brain will kind of learn, it's like, okay, I can get this later, and that's okay. And that'll kind of teach you to do things better, like save money, be more patient with others. I mean, just making yourself wait for things can help you learn patience, which is, I would argue, a part of emotional stability anyways, because you kind of have to learn to become patient with yourself. So practice some waiting. Wait because you can, not because you need to, but just at times be like, you know what, no, I'll do this later, and not like work. Like if you're like really looking forward to this snack or something, be like, I'll put this off because I can. It's 5:45, I'll have it at 6. And so some waiting is going to be helpful in helping yourself build a little bit of emotional stability, help you be able to thicken your skin. Ironically, I'm going to recommend working in fast food. So I kind of joke fast food jobs are pretty miserable, and but the fact of the matter is you will definitely develop some emotional stability, some durability working one of those, because it is a rougher roller coaster of an environment usually, where people really don't care and aren't in the best mood. You get a lot of hangry people at once. Sometimes things just go wrong, and all of that is kind of needed to help you develop some emotional durability. So I'm not actually recommending a fast food job, but it is a funny thought, especially if you have a lot of extra time on your hands. Couldn't hurt. Or could it? Lastly is going to be, well, the reason I keep not wearing my denture when I make these videos. I want to, but currently that is my discomfort exposure that I'm doing. I want to have this thing in while making videos so bad, and just have the big pretty smile and sound as articulate as possible. And I'm sure eventually I will start having it in more, but it's like, well, why does that make you uncomfortable? Is that rooted in your vanity? Oh, that's rooted in my own vanity. Okay, let's make myself do it. Here's my 10th video without it. And I'm getting a little better at talking and even smiling a little at the camera now and again while making these, because I'm getting some positive engagement in spite of it. So that kind of reinforces that it's not the big deal, the big piece of doom that I actually think it is. And that's part of how you use exposure therapy to your advantage. So the embarrassment. I recently heard somebody say that embarrassment is the cost of entry. And I've been trying to use that as one of my countering phrases that I mentioned earlier for making myself do things that I'm new at or inexperienced at. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. Okay, I'll bite. And so far it's been pretty good. I find when I am embarrassed, it's normally just me who's actually judging myself in the situation. Maybe somebody else is casting some judgment, but half the time it's rooted in their own insecurity. And if you've done any real self-work, you can tell that what they're judging you for is kind of rooted in their own insecurity and amount. So that kind of lets you bypass feeling judged and be like, oh, hey, I'm not alone in this problem. And another thing, a lot of times when jokes are made at your expense, it's not actually people trying to break you down. It's a bonding attempt. People don't know you. They want to know you. People like to be funny. Funny's a good icebreaker. So half the time if a joke's getting made at your expense, the best thing you can actually do is roll into it, play into it, make it funny, and people think, oh, that guy's pretty cool. Instead of, oh, that's the loser who's insecure about this or that. They think, oh, that guy's pretty cool. He's funny. So roll into it. And when you roll into it, you're going to be all like, ooh, your insults don't hurt. You just thought they did. And like I said, if they're not actually insults, if it's people just genuinely making jokes, they're the kind of people who like to make jokes at your expense, half the time they don't mean anything by it. So let yourself be embarrassed. Sit with that feeling, so when it comes up in new skill development, in the workplace, wherever, in a relationship, you're more equipped to deal with that feeling on the fly when it comes up and can actually handle being embarrassed. Plus, regular exposure to embarrassment will kind of allow you to gain a sense of humility, not take yourself so serious. If you can actually laugh at a joke made at your expense or elaborate on that joke, then, well, you're gonna get a sense of humility, a sense of like, okay, whatever, I can love myself, I can like myself, I can even have confidence in myself, but I don't have to be like a hard ass to do that. I don't have to be the baddest guy in the room. That isn't necessary. What is necessary is earning your own confidence from yourself through your actions. Just reaffirm to yourself, like, go try the thing. When you fall on your face, think, okay, that's just attempt 1. Let's compare it to attempt 2. And on attempt 2, when you trip and stumble and roll, be all like, well, I didn't fall on my face that time. And this will, these couple of things, teaching yourself patience, teaching yourself humility, teaching yourself how to assess your own biases and thoughts and opinions and judgments. These couple of things will be instrumental in helping you build some actual emotional and durability, not just be the guy in the room who's like, oh, I don't care. I don't care at all. But once you do some of this, you're going to notice it gets easier, and so you'll want to go back to that list we made at the beginning of things that were uncomfortable but good for us. Now let's pick 2. Let's pick a second thing off that list and tackle it. And hey, once you've got a habit of doing this, let me know. Tell me if my advice was any good. You guys have a lovely night and stay warm.